This video was brought to you by Manco.store, which is owned by the same people as Manco.trade. This site is essentially an online marketplace where you can buy and sell thousands of Team Fortress 2 items. You can also get your own personalised store, where it has an individual link that you can send to people to where they can see all the items you're selling and buying. The link to Manco.store, the marketplace, will be down below. Hey guys, what's going on? My name is Joe and welcome to a brand new video. Today we're just going to be kind of sitting back and having a bit of talk about refined metal. As you can see, we've got 115 refined metal here, which is literally just over 2 keys, which is quite a scary thought. But I'm just going to be talking about some potential new uses for refined metal and why really it's just becoming so invaluable whilst I craft some hats. And I'm going to be showing you a perfect example of why crafting hats is not a viable way to use your refined metal anymore, as I waste through all of mine so you don't have to waste through all of yours. Of course, as always in these kind of hat crafting type videos, I'm actually going to crank up my volume just a little bit. In these hat crafting videos, I will be giving away the hats that I craft, so you will be able to find a scrap.tf link for the giveaway down below. But essentially, yeah, we're just going to be talking about hat crafting. So for example, I know this isn't the most cost efficient way of crafting hats. It's cheaper to buy 2 craft hats and craft them together. However, I just think this is easier and more entertaining to watch than me crafting like 50 random hats together. But yeah, crafting hats is not worth it. It's a very, very small percentage that you'll actually craft something worth more than 3 refined. As you're seeing here, we get the 242 tooth kickers. So some of the items you get, we aren't actually that bad, you know. You get like some usable items if you hit something crazy like the jackpot, like a Dead of Night or a Bruiser's Bandana, then you're in the profit. But generally, ooh, that could be a bit profitable. Every time I get something profitable, I'll pop it up on the screen. But essentially, like generally 99% of the time, when you craft hats, you're crafting for a loss. So apart from crafting hats, the only real use for refined metal is to trade with it and to trade up for keys. And because less and less people need it, there's no real demand for it, you know. The only reason you need refined is to buy keys. So there's not really a demand. There's never gonna be like a demand that goes up. So the price is just gonna keep going down and down. The key price will always be the same. People trade with keys, people unbox with keys, people can sell keys for real cash, so that price is never going to go down. However, the refined price is going to keep going down unless Valve introduce a new ref sync. A ref sync, for those who don't know, or those who can't I guess figure it out, is like a sync for your refined, as the name would probably suggest, where you turn refined in and get something out of it. And I've kind of been thinking to myself, because crafting hats, as we're seeing now, is such a waste generally and such a poor investment, there should be a new ref sync. And I was thinking Valve could implement something very similar to trade up contracts. So something like this. However, there's a small chance that you could get an unusual. Not anything crazy, not like a Burn in Flames team captain from crafting, but maybe like 2 or 3, maybe 4 unique unusual effects that are added to the game when you craft hats. They're a bit like nuts and bolts, maybe with like refined or something. Just lower tier unusual effects get added to the game that you can only get through crafting, or something even more subtle like a community sparkle, just so there's actually an incentive to craft, because once people actually have a use for their refined and start burning through it, then the price will eventually go back up. So yeah, that's my main idea, is that they add some sort of unusual effects that you can only get through crafting. It doesn't have to be flashy, it doesn't have to be expensive. In fact, it could literally be worse than nuts and bolts. It could be like one singular refined orbiting around your hat, or like something similar to that. But the only way you can get it is like a very small chance through crafting hats. So let's say I burn through 200 refined, and there's a small chance that one of the items I craft has this unusual effect of like a small sparkle, or of like a small refined unusual effect, and everyone would suddenly start crafting again, you know, and refine would become a bit more desirable, because there's a small chance that you can get an unusual that you can't obtain through any other way. Or alternatively, there could be something along the lines of some sort of unique war paints, where you turn it into like a contract type system, where you turn in a certain amount of refined and you get a unique war paint case that's exclusive to refined metal, and it's keyless, so you can't open it up with a key. You don't need a key. The only way you can open it is by turning in 5, 10, 15 refined. The item you get from it is untradeable, but there's a bunch of like maybe 10 to 15 war paints, and yeah, it's literally just like a case that you can only get through putting in refined. I think once again that will kind of revitalize refined, and I think this is a very good conversation point, because As it stands right now, keys are nearly 50 refined, and it's going to keep inflating unless there's a new ref sync. And it got me thinking, like, you guys, I mean, you might have some great ideas as well, so if you want to leave it in the comments down below, maybe any ideas you have that we could do something with refined, or any ideas of stuff we could turn refined in for, then let me know in the comments down below, because once again, I think it makes a very interesting talking point. But I definitely think Valve potentially aren't aware of the economy at the moment, because literally, to put it into perspective, like, you can craft like a Bruiser's Bandana or a Dead of Night and it's not even close to the 1 key mark. Another idea I've seen the community throw around a lot is actually dropping the cost of crafting refined to 2 refined, or crafting hats rather to 2 refined as opposed to 3 refined, and this would give you more of a chance of crafting something that's actually profitable. And while I think this is a really good idea and people would actually start crafting stuff again, there's only so much people can craft before they realise that they're still most likely going to make a lot. I mean, most cosmetics in Team Fortress 2 are under the 2 refined barrier. Now granted, there's a lot more that are over 2 refined than cosmetics that are over 3 refined, but I feel like it's just crafting again, it's just hat crafting again, and people don't necessarily want unique hats, especially if you manage to accumulate, let's say 200, 300 refined, then you're most likely going to have that market knowledge to where you realise that crafting is most likely going to be a loss 99% of the time, you know? So, ooh, an Aviator Assassin is quite a cool hat. And also, if you have that much refined just lying around in your backpack, the chances are you're quite an established trader, or you've invested a fair amount of money into the game to where you already have all the items you want, and all the items that you craft realistically aren't actually going to be used. And also, I think it's worth noting, there's going to be more hats in circulation with the same demand for them, because people aren't going to be buying them more. More hats in circulation kind of equates to the price eventually going down, because there's so many of them, and no more people want them. It's not like suddenly there's an influx of people who want the neckwear, headwear, or whatever. But yeah, so then we just kind of end up with hats getting devalued because people are crafting them more. I just feel like something needs to be added, whether that's new skins, maybe like a new weapon that you can craft, or like a new set of 10 weapons, and every time you put 2 or 3 refined into a blueprint, you get a chance of getting 1 of 10 weapons, or just something like that where there's actually an incentive to use your... Oh, that's profit. I'm 99% sure the Nunhood's profit. But just something to where there's actually an incentive to put your refined in, because at the moment, as you're seeing, the vast majority of hats that we are crafting, the Glengarry Bonnet, notoriously a cheap hat. So it's like, I don't know, I definitely feel like Valve need to work on something, and I do wonder if it's something that they have been thinking about, or if they've just kind of like put it under the radar, because right now refined has an extremely limited amount of uses. That's actually a really nice hat. I'm not sure if that's profit or not, but it is a nice hat. But there's a very limited number of uses for refined metal, and I definitely feel like there needs to be more. I mean, we can smelt it and craft weapons, but realistically, if you want a weapon, you can just buy it. I don't know, I'm really not too sure. I have been trying to brainstorm a few ideas, and the ones I've got is just maybe keep the cost the same, but put in the unusual effects. Like, make a couple more unusual effects, really subtle ones that you can only get through crafting, or maybe like a chance to get a special variant of a hat, like a style that's uniquely only available to get through crafting, like a different colour scheme, for example, or inverted colours, or golden, or just something that makes it stand out and gives people an actual reason to try and get something rare and like a collectible from crafting. As we're going into, oh, we actually get the criminal cloak, our last craft now with our last 4 refined. Hopefully we can get something decent to finish off this video. The K9 main, it is not decent, but as always guys, the link to the scrap.tf giveaway will be in the description below. Let me know what you kind of think of this. I think this is an interesting discussion point, because I definitely feel like if Valve implements something that actually gives use to refined, they can completely save the economy. It's just whether they actually care enough to do it, and it would be really interesting to hear your guys' thoughts on a new ref sync in Team Fortress 2, whether that's special items, a small chance of getting an unusual effect that's exclusively available through crafting, new weapons, new war paints that you can only get through this. I don't know, I'm just kind of brainstorming. Leave a like if you enjoyed, let me know your thoughts down below guys, and peace. Yeah,
take off in the SpaceX Air Max. Movie life every night, call it Miramax. Diamonds on my wrist, that what she staring at. She tryna fuck with me, she like the way that I do it. Got my hands all on her hips and we gon' move to the music. I been steady smoking dope.